Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I celebrated a birthday last week, and Deanne said something to me that kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. She said she didn't want to say that I'm getting old and worn out, but she said, please don't be anywhere near the curb on trash day. That hurt. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And a good morning to you. Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday. And this is October 7th already. My goodness sakes, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations with a big fall tire sale going on right now. Thank you, Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And some of our great advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. And right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Wheels. We got to get rid of that hum somehow coming down the line. I don't know what it is or what causes it, but good morning, everybody, and appreciate that. And right now, time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. And the number to call, 678-3122. They get there really early in the morning to help you with the best of tools and equipment on rental basis, long and short-term rental. You better call Roger today. These are really good people that have everything you need now. You might have some jobs you got to hurry before the weather gets really gnarly and bad. Well, you get a hold of them today, K&R Rental. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's going to be a nice day as we kick off the work week. Maybe not so nice as we end the work week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting sunny skies for today. Winds out of the east-southeast at about 8 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 66. For tonight, nice and clear. Winds are going to be picking up just a skosh. Expecting a low of 38. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 68. However, the winds will be picking up out of the south, 10 to 15 miles an hour, then out of the west by the afternoon. For tomorrow night, we do have a 20% chance of showers after midnight, mostly cloudy skies. Expecting a low of 31. Winds will continue out of the west at about 20 miles an hour. By Wednesday, 30% chance of snow showers by the afternoon. Partly sunny skies, high of 41. The winds will be consistent as well. Then for Thursday, looks like sunny, much cooler, only a high near 40. Then by Friday, sunny and 51. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Ooh, I'm telling you, a little gnarly and cold out there. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. Call Roger if you're not sure what you need for rental tools and equipment. They've got it all, and they've got all the information. 678-3122. The best at K&R Rental. Wow. Thank you to all the folks that called me last week on my birthday and wished me well on my happy, well, I won't give the number because it's so scary. Happy birthday wishes. Thank you, one and all. And all your cards that we got, emails. I mean, thank you very, very much. Appreciate that. Don't forget our friends at Daryl's Cleaners, and they're located at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, Kevin and Cindy do a wonderful job. And besides the dry cleaning, don't forget that if you don't have time to do your own washing, they will wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes, just like Mama used to do. I'm telling you, at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. They open up at about 8 o'clock in the morning and serve you at Daryl's Cleaners. You stop in and see them today. As a matter of fact, I'll probably be going in there later on today myself. All right, give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you.
Thank you. And a happy birthday last week.
That was really nice of you. Of course, you and Nancy, the sugar cookie queen, and caller number 2, I'll be right there. But thank you for all your kind remarks, Keith. I really thank you.
Yes, and I'd like to make out a plan for President Trump. I think he should gather all of the news people together in one bunch, all over the United States and everything, and have them come and sit in front of him, and for him to say, we're going to have a new plan. The first time you are caught lying and it's verified, you will be scorned. The second time you are caught lying, you will lose your security clearance to the White House.
I'm not opposed to that. I believe in a free press. I believe in a free press, and I believe that with the good and the bad and the ugly, you've got to take them all. But I kind of like that because I think, and I agree with you to some extent, that calling the media together and saying, okay, ABC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, all of you guys, Fox News, all of you, here's the deal. You want to ask me questions? Let's get it done right now. But I kind of like that. I do. I think going into the 2020 election, that would be excellent idea to kind of get everybody to acting like more professional than what they have in the past.
I do too, and I think since your birthday, you've become a little more on my side.
No.
No chance?
No, there's no chance.
I thought I had you. You were so complimentary about my comment.
No, I'll give you that. I'll give you quite a few attaboys, and I'll give you compliments on quite a few ideas. But as far as coming over to your side, nope. Thank you.
Well, at least I know where I stand.
Okay. Hey, God bless you, man. Thanks so much.
Good morning.
I will. Thanks, Keith. Hey, caller, I'll be right there. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. They'll have everything waiting on the counter for you. If you just want to call ahead, they've got all of your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, and all the knowledge, all the great people. It's all there. 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric, with almost 7 decades of serving you at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zebber.
Yes, sir.
The Senior Center menu in South Overland, the potato bar, and all the different toppings you might want. And, of course, it's yummy desserts. It'll surely be good.
Okay. And it's only $5, right?
That's right. Any and everybody.
Okay. Well,
Go in before 12 o'clock, and if you can be there, well, we need your help.
all right, Joe. Well, listen, on Overland, the Senior Center, Joe Taylor, God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You bet.
And all you do for everybody.
All right, Joe. Thank you. Appreciate you. There's a mainstay on our program and a great, great guy. Want to remind you about Ark Animal Hospital. Hello, Dr. Bill and the staff. You know what? They care. They honestly, sincerely care about the health of your animals. I know that firsthand. And I urge you to get a hold of them. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. And the number to call, 678-1177. Make sure that you've got all your vaccinations taken care of going into this fall. Make sure that everything is done and up to date. You do not want, in the colder weather, any sick animals. Please, whether you got itty-bitty kitty cats or you got a whole herd of dairy cattle, get a hold of them. Ark Animal Hospital, Dr. Bill and the staff, 678-1177, where they do have warm hearts for cold noses. Also want to acknowledge our friends over at Denny's Restaurant. What else can I say about Denny's except one word? Delicious. And the people are so friendly and so caring. I mean, like on my birthday, they gave me a nice cake, and it was just really nice. And they take care of all their customers with the best of breakfast, lunch, and dinner anytime, all the time. And all the desserts, it's fantastic. Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley, and another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. They are literally America's Diner. Denny's Restaurant. You stop in and see them today. Wow. I don't even know where to go. I have got, literally, and for those of you that are listening on the computer and watching on TV that we have provided for our computer listeners on zebbell.com, I have got a pile, literally a pile of about 3 inches high of stories that we could go into this morning that are absolutely upsetting. Here's one. At White Station High School in Tennessee, they crowned a transgender as the homecoming queen. We're going to talk about that a little later. Then, of course, we could talk about PacifiCorp closing down all of their coal-fired plants, and, of course, going to cost everybody more money on green energy. And one of the things that PacifiCorp said that doesn't hold water, just like with Idaho Power, we are very open. We have regular meetings with the people almost every month. Well, Idaho Power wouldn't visit with us and never will. Then, of course, here's an interesting story. Former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown said that Hillary Clinton is the only Democrat that can beat Donald Trump. Holy cow. And it goes on and on from there. I mean, I've got more news stories, valid news stories that I have checked and double-checked, and what we have is a binge full of news that needs to be reported on, but I'll just start with this. A second whistleblower that supposedly, now listen to this please carefully, because we're going to have Rick Manning talk about it next hour at 9:06. A second whistleblower that supposedly has firsthand information better than the first whistleblower, and maybe they're even hiding in the background a third whistleblower, that this goes, my grandmother used to say. I hope that the American public can see through all of this barnyard material and throw the dim-dems out of politics. This is becoming insane. Then, just before this program started this morning, about maybe 25, 30 minutes ago, there was a report that the second whistleblower really doesn't have first-hand information and basically no better than the first whistleblower. If you can keep track of all that, you're doing a heck of a lot better than I am. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, I want to say this, and I mean this so sincerely, that I apologize to Rod Johnson, and I mean that. Rodney Johnson has been a good friend of this program for a long, long time. And his birthday was also on my birthday, and I flat missed announcing it. And I'm sorry. Rodney, I'm really sorry, and I extend you the very best of happy birthday wishes and many, many more. Good guy right there. Want to have calls? Welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the by, don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox are all teamed up with the iComfort Wi-Fi thermostats from Lennox that feature remote control access so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere. Contact Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox because they're offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. Terms and conditions apply. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. President Donald Trump is right. President Donald Trump is right when he says it is past time to go on the offensive. It's past time to say no. It's past time to tell the Democrats to take a long walk off a short pier. And he said that Pelosi and Schiff should be thrown out of office. I agree. And yesterday, I don't know if you followed this or not. I heard about it. I had a phone call, and they said that on Meet the Press, Chuck Todd, the host of Meet the Press, absolutely started bullying Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin on the Ukrainian story, and it got really, really ugly. And every time that Ron Johnson wanted to kind of reply to the questions and state facts and what happened in kind of a calendar of events leading up to certain things, Todd really got mad. I mean, really got mad, and interrupted him, and it was absolutely an ugly interview. I have seen excerpts of it, and Johnson tried to answer the questions, but Todd kept cutting him off. And if I were Ron Johnson at that juncture, on a Sunday morning news program like Meet the Press, and they won't let me talk, I would have just looked in the camera and said, because of your radical viewpoints of not wanting to listen to the truth, thank you for your time. I would have taken the microphone off and walked off the stage. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, for the liberals, Zeb, it's their way or the highway. I mean, the facts, they don't care about facts anymore, or whether it's climate change or this Ukrainian thing. They just make it up. Look what Shifty Schiff, Adam Schiff, I mean, he just made it up and called it a parody. Oh, for crying out loud. This is unbelievable that we've gone. But the Democrats and the national mainstream media, by and large, are one and the same. In fact, I think the national media, like the New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, are actually leading the Democrats and have for a long time.
Wait a minute, Adrian, you made a point I want to come back and talk to you about quickly. With Adam Schiff and his so-called parody that he started that hearing the other day at the House. I read a report over the weekend, and I'm fumbling through my papers right now trying to find it. But there was an estimation that there were literally millions and millions and millions of people that thought that his parody to opening up that hearing was the truth, and he was giving a synopsis of what was done. So that parody hurt not only President Trump, but it hurt the standings of honesty at that hearing.
Oh, absolutely. And they like I say, they don't care. It's just Alinsky's rules for radicals. You just divide and you demonize, and if that doesn't work, then you just make it up.
Yeah.
The end justifies the means for these people. It's really serious. I mean, we have a problem with our local paper. We talked about this before. I can't put anything in the paper that's against man-caused global warming. So we have a problem with the news media right here in Magic Valley, and people need to realize that we're only getting half the story there. We're only getting one side, the 77 scientists, that
that are in favor, over 31,000 plus that are against it.
Let me ask you a question, Adrian. Let me ask you a question there, Adrian. Adrian, wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. How can a free press, and in this case the Times News, what kind of legitimate answers are they giving you as to why your opinion as a person that understands climate far, far better than most, why isn't your opinion respected enough to be in the newspaper?
Well, it's because the science is settled. They bought onto all of this lies, and so they tell me, well, the science is settled. We're not going to discuss this. And it's not true. Not only true with the Times News, it's the Post-Register, it's the Boise Statesman, Pocatello paper. All of them have the same deal. Can't get anything in any of those papers. So thank God for talk radio like yourself to be able to at least express the fact that this whole, we're going to find out how global warming works here in a couple of days, it sounds like.
So they would just a minute, Adrian, they being the Times News, would rather listen and adhere to and worship the op-ed opinion of a man that was a former Idaho Attorney General and former Idaho Supreme Court Chief Justice that has no bearing on climatology or meteorology, no basis of education. They'd rather listen to Jim Jones than they would somebody that works with climate, works with crop on a daily basis, you.
Well, yeah, Jim Jones, his editorials, I mean, if he's a Republican, he's certainly a rhino Republican, name only. Those editorials every week, I mean, he just talks up. He has no idea what he's talking about. And thank God we didn't get him as congressman after he left. The backstory on that is that he was running for Congress, and then he allowed the feds in here to shut down nature paths. And he told me personally that that was a big mistake. But we worked hard to make sure he didn't get the Republican nomination for Congress, and that was a good. But now, I mean, he's been swallowing all of these socialist ideas. Socialism always leads to democracy, and democracy, of course, leads to tyranny, and that's where we're headed, Sam.
All right, my friend, I appreciate it. But you keep plugging away. I know you work hard every day to try to inform the public, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I got to run and do a break. Thank you.
Yeah, remember, PETA stands for People Eating Tasty Animals.
Yeah, and I got a story about that coming up, too. Thank you very much. All right, calls are welcome, 436.
Agriculture. We treat our animals with kindness and take care of them, and I appreciated your opinion on that and comments that I read.
All right, Adrian, I appreciate that. Yes, I did write in my blog last week about that. Thank you very, very much. All right, time to tell you a little bit about Dino Septic Service. Oh, boy, they do the job that you and I don't want to do. I don't want to go out and pump a septic tank. I don't want to go out there with liquid waste removal or cleaning out sewer and sink drain lines. Oh, no. They do, and they do it with a smile on their face. They do everything. Backhoe services, septic tank and drain fields installed, septic inspections, all of this. Dino's Septic Service. These people are good. 436-6526 or 678-1638. Fast, fair, friendly service? Yep, with a big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service. Caller, real quick. I'll take your call, and then I'm going to give away some cookies. Go ahead.
Okay. I believe everything that Adrian said, and he's a good man, and he knows what he's talking about. But when he goes to the press, this is their answer. Don't confuse me with the facts. My mind is made up.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true. I've been fighting that for a long time on this program. And it's just like I wanted to get you, the listener, the facts by calling Idaho Power and asking them on my program. Excuse me. In a very polite fashion, but Idaho Power snubbed me as big as anybody could be snubbed. I absolutely have no respect for their hierarchy or their communications department, and they won't answer questions, which tells me that they are on the dark side of the moon as far as giving information out to their ratepayers. Keith, I got to run and give away some cookies. Thank you.
You bet.
All right, buddy. Right now we want to, and I'm choking on my hay fever here all of a sudden here today. Sorry about that. Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, what a delicious restaurant to go eat, and oh, what a delicious bakery with all the wonderful desserts and pies and cookies, excuse me, and cakes, all of this and so much more at Sophie's Chatterbox. And you can be the lucky winner of a dozen cookies if you answer this trivia question correctly. And I'm going to make you think a little bit, I think, on this question. On the old Dick Van Dyke TV series, remember that? On the old Dick Van Dyke TV series, what was the name of the little boy in the series that played the son of Dick Van Dyke? Do you remember? What was the little boy's name, Dick Van Dyke's son? What was his name? Quickly, give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Quickly, give me a call, and you may be the lucky winner of the dozen cookies. What was the little boy's name in the series that played the son of Dick Van Dyke? What was his character name? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587, and you'll win those cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. While we're waiting for your call, as everybody's running to their computers to get that information, I can tell. Berry Equipment and Rental. I got a cough. Hold on. Done coughing. Berry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts, 159 West Highway 30. Caller, I'll be right there in Burley. 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and the Nampa location. And, oh, by the way, at the Burley location, you can also rent the hammer drills and the bits up to 2 inches at the Burley store. They've got everything for all the lifting and the digging and the leveling and the grading and the pushing and the carrying. All of this and more at Berry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location, Berry Equipment and Rental. Caller, you are on the air. Give me the answer to my trivia question.
Richie.
Well, who is this?
This is Laura.
Well, Laura, that doesn't cut the cake. I estimate that in the United States there's probably over 17 million Lauras. What's your last name?
Gamboa.
Spell that for me, please.
Gamboa.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, and you are the winner. It was Richie. Did you know that, or did you have to run and look it up?
Nope, I knew it.
Okay, well, by golly, you call Sophie's and tell them that you're going to be over and get your dozen cookies, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Excuse me. Man, oh, man. Get a little dust in the air, the bean dust and everything else, and old Zebra starts coughing. I apologize for that. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I want to ask you something else here. Elizabeth Warren. Now, she is all of a sudden going right up the ladder. Yeah. And unfortunately, and I mean this when I say unfortunately, because I don't want to wish anybody bad health, but Bernie Sanders, with what was confirmed as a heart attack last week, and they put a couple of stents in, and says that he will be back for the next debate on stage in 2 weeks, on the 15th, I believe it is. But I think Bernie, and I'm not saying this to say anything negative about the man on his health at all. Politics, I can't stand the man. Health-wise, we always should pray for his better health. But with the heart attack and the stents being put in and the public very nervous, he has dropped like a rock in the polls. And you know what? I can understand it, and I can appreciate it, why people are a little worried right now, okay, backing him as a candidate. But Elizabeth Warren is going the other direction, and Biden's kind of shaky right now. You know that, with the deal with his son Hunter Biden and what's going on over in the Ukraine and also in China. And the allegations of wrongdoing or misstepping by Hunter Biden and his daddy Joe are becoming more and more prominent every day. But Elizabeth Warren is climbing on the Democratic polls, and some polls show her as taking over the leadership. But this woman is a chronic storytelling liar. Now, that's not me. I'm not saying this from my own standpoint. I'm saying it from verified proof. I mean, I'm not going to go through all the different stories, but I'm going to say some of the most prominent ones, like her being with her ancestry Native American. Nope. No, I know for a fact in my family I've got more Native American blood in my family than she ever had. And she changed that story to fit the situation, and now she's changing a story about her years ago being a pregnant school teacher that was asked to leave, basically fired, and that's not true either, because videotape has surfaced with a interview with her explaining that the reason she quit her job, I said quit, not fired, quit her job, was to go get a bigger degree and also at that particular time spend more time with her newborn. So the stories evolve and they change, and she lies. And like I said, the problem is she's on the rise. Basically, somebody call me this morning and tell me, do you see honestly, and please call me on this right now, do you see anybody on the Democratic podiums, whether it's Kamala Harris, bug-eyed Cory Booker, or Joe Biden, or Elizabeth Harris, or Bernie Sanders, or whomever, that has any power or likability or votability over Donald Trump and what's going on in our country right now? I don't see anybody. Do you? Caller, you're on the air.
I don't either. But on Elizabeth Warren, in her cookbook, Pow Wow Chow, she stole all of those recipes from a chef. And we don't hear much about it, but I think we're going to as she climbs the ladder.
The ladder that she's climbing is a ladder with rungs that are dangerous and may fall, and she may go from rung number 9 all the way back down to the basement again, because her lying and her changing and twisting the stories is nothing new. Actually, before she even threw her hat into the ring for being a presidential possible nominee, a lot of people had questioned her lying and her storytelling, and so I just think she's already cut her throat, so to speak, as far as being any kind of a reputable nominee.
Well, I'd like to see him bring more out on this cookbook deal, because that's outright plagiarism and theft.
Well, it is.
Somebody's good name to make that cookbook.
Well, it is, but on the other hand, Keith, regardless of the cookbook or regardless of the ancestry with all the Native American blood, or regardless of saying that I was fired because I was a pregnant school teacher, I mean, the woman is not reputable, she's not credible, and she is so far left that in a debate with, like, President Trump, if she does get the nomination on the Democratic ticket, I think Donald Trump will take her boat and blow it right out of the water.
I think he will make her cry, physically cry in a debate.
Well, I don't know. That's speculation, and I'm not going to say that whatsoever. But I just think that the Democrats have hung their hat. And then there's talk. There's talk by various people of trying to reincorporate Hillary back in as kind of an 11th hour candidate. Holy smokes, when you've got former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown saying, well, Hillary's the only one that can beat Trump, that shoe doesn't fit either, does it?
Not at all. I mean, she has got so much dirt on her fingernails that it is unbelievable.
I couldn't agree more.
We're just barely touching the surface on it.
I agree.
If she keeps talking, she's just going to dig her hole deeper.
I tell you what, when these people come out and honestly they sit there and they scream, we've got to have Hillary, we've got to have Hillary. My goodness sakes, I don't understand their reasoning on this whatsoever. Willie Brown just came right out and he said that it's time for Hillary Clinton to come out of retirement, lace up the gloves and get back in the ring with President Trump for what would be the biggest political rematch ever. These people are insane.
Yeah, and she says it was her turn.
Yeah, right.
That's all. It's her turn.
I got to run. I got to laugh at some of the news because it's almost like watching a cartoon. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Keith. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget, let your house welcome you home with a perfect temperature. The iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox features remote control access, so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere, any place. And right now, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox are offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. So keep yourself comfy. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Calls welcome 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm chuckling. Did any of you out in the audience happen to catch the rally, be that as it was, for Beto O'Rourke the other day? And Beto is standing up there on a little stage, podium area, and addressing a rally supposedly for his support. Okay, there weren't that many people, let me tell you. But he's up there, you know, like he always plays Gumby, and he's waving his arms, and he's going through all these different gyrations and everything. Well, he started talking about gun control, and all of a sudden, a lady in the audience, when it was time for some of the questions and responsive answers from the candidate, Beto, she got the microphone and she just told Beto O'Rourke in no uncertain terms, you are not taking our guns away. I am a legal gun owner. Don't you even think about it. And then she told him with his Open Borders campaign that no, it's about high time the United States took care of their citizens first and worried about all these people that are coming here illegally secondarily. Whoa, I mean, this woman had the nerve, and I really respect her, at a rally for Beto O'Rourke to stand up there and say the honest truth. And Beto O'Rourke looked like deer in the headlights. Woo! Man, he didn't know what to do. So kudos to this lady for saying exactly what the truth is. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Our weather forecast is brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology, and they always are growing bigger and better every day to serve the community and to serve hearing health. I'm telling you, they are the professionals. And hearing loss often happens so gradually that you all of a sudden aren't aware of what's happening. Maybe you're not catching part of the TV show. Maybe you're not catching part of our radio program, and for heaven's sakes, take care of your hearing on that. And not hearing maybe at church on Sunday the sermon. Well, maybe you better call for a hearing screening today. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. I'll repeat that again. Make the appointment. They're right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's going to be a nice day as we kick off the work week. Maybe not so nice as we end the work week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting sunny skies for today. Winds out of the east-southeast at about 8 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 66. For tonight, nice and clear. Winds are going to be picking up just a skosh. Expecting a low of 38. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 68. However, the winds will be picking up out of the south, 10 to 15 miles an hour, then out of the west by the afternoon. For tomorrow night, we do have a 20% chance of showers after midnight, mostly cloudy skies. Expecting a low of 31. Winds will continue out of the west at about 20 miles an hour. By Wednesday, 30% chance of snow showers by the afternoon. Partly sunny skies, high of 41. The winds will be consistent as well. Then for Thursday, looks like sunny, much cooler, only a high near 40. Then by Friday, sunny and 51. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
And thank you, and a special thank yous to our wonderful, wonderful people that care about your hearing at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And they just know that hearing loss affects each person differently, so please don't put it off. Please don't put it off. Call them today and make an appointment. 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One of the careers, and I could not do this, I absolutely could not and would not want to do this for a living, is be a commercial fisherman on a boat or ship, whatever you want to call them, on the high seas. Could not do that. After watching the television show numerous times, The Deadliest Catch, and knowing some of the people on that TV show, I've talked to them and had some of them on my radio program, I could never, ever put myself in that kind of a position. It looks like one of the most dangerous jobs anywhere to be had. Well, now, thanks to wind turbines, yes, you heard me correctly, now thanks to wind turbines off of our East Coast, New England commercial fishermen are now seeing more danger to their jobs. There is a big push to have a huge, great big wind farm erected outside the boundaries of our eastern coast, with these turbines stuck all over out in the ocean. And many, many fishermen are saying, wait a minute, we're out there on the high seas trying to earn a living fishing, and then all of a sudden we're smashed up against one of these many, many wind turbines. Now there's a plan to go with over 500 of them in an area where the wind is quite harsh every day. And these fishermen absolutely are scared to death because of the spacing of those wind turbines, that they're going to be smashed and crashed right up against the base of these, I call them cancer sticks. And here's another worry about wind energy taking up the space, and then basically telling the little guys, the fishermen, oh, that's all right, we don't really need you, just go away, leave us alone. Kind of like the attitude that Idaho Power has with not coming on my program and answering quite a few questions in regards to wind and solar power. Now, I've got some pictures here of some of the wind turbines that are out in the ocean off the East Coast, and believe me, there's minimal numbers right now, but they want to add, like I said, over 500 on this one wind farm, and it is going to be absolutely deadly for our commercial fishermen. And it's dangerous enough to make a living this way. And I also learned something else in a story that was on the news earlier this morning, that a lot of the commercial fishermen, with the use of radar to find out where they're headed and what's an obstruction, these wind turbines, they really kind of scatter the radar. And they showed it on TV this morning. What might be 5 wind turbines may look as many as 15 to 30. Because it scrambles what comes up on the radar screen. Now, I don't know about you, but why? We have very efficient energy programs, but we want to make it deadly. We want to make it inefficient. And we want to make it so that it hurts people. This is ludicrous. And on a closer scale, even though inland, I point my finger at Idaho Power again, and I say, why are you so cowardly that you won't come out from underneath your desk and answer questions about your green energy proposals? They won't do it. And right now, green energy is affecting lives, affecting jobs, and with the jamming of radar, it could affect our national security. And there's another thing, too, in regards to these windmills. Thanks to my lovely bride, and we found a story of a study that was published in 2013, and I want to relay this to you really quick. I didn't know the numbers were this astronomically high. A 2013 study published by the Wildlife Society Bulletin. And remember, this is now 6 years ago for this study. 6 years ago. This study estimated that over 573,000 birds were killed in the wind turbines. Were killed. And at a minimal amount of electricity that's generated, the deaths of these birds absolutely it's unbelievable. And they say now that wind turbines may now be among the fastest growing human-caused threats to our nation's birds, especially bald eagles. And they estimated in the story that alternative energy is not green if it's killing hundreds of thousands or millions of birds annually. Our wildlife should not be collateral damage in an effort to combat climate change, if that's what it is, nor does it have to be improved regulation and science leading to proper siting. Effective mitigation and compensation would go a long way to address this conflict. And they're just absolutely saying that the 10 worst sited energy projects in the United States for wind include our neighboring state of Wyoming, and I would imagine now that we're making such a transition over to these cancer sticks that Idaho probably will be on the list also. Caller, good morning. You're on the air quickly. Go ahead.
Good morning, sir. Yeah, aren't the eagle protected, but at the in this case, it's okay to kill eagles.
Yeah.
I mean, but yet you disturb an egg, I can't remember what the fine is, but it's a hefty one.
Well, when you look at this study that is over 6 years old and multiply the problem over the last 6 years with the erection of more of these terrible, absolutely villainous cancer sticks that Idaho Power supports, Doug, the numbers must be astronomically higher than 500,000 and probably exceeding over 1.5 million or 2 million, and the eagles are part of that.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And what I can't get anybody to answer, I mean, I've asked a few people, I've listened, and the offset of a carbon footprint. The wind turbines and the solar panels don't even produce enough energy to offset their carbon footprint to make them a positive.
I've heard that and talked to many scientists and many people involved in the anti-green movement that are gathering statistics and facts, and what you've said absolutely has been related to me.
Yes, and you take these electric cars. The carbon footprint for making an electric car is enormous compared to an internal combustion engine.
Absolutely.
Original car.
Absolutely.
Then when you salvage it or, recycle it, the carbon footprint's way higher for an electric car than it is for an internal combustion. So over the lifetime, it is a bigger carbon footprint for an electric car than it is an internal combustion.
Well, please respect my time factor here, Doug, that I've only got about 30 seconds left, and I want you to give a rebuttal to this. But simply put, with all this idiocy on electric cars, etc., and the having to garner more of a supply drain on the networking of our electrical system, where's it all going to come from, Doug?
It's going to come from the money tree that the government keeps handing out to everybody. It is a pipe dream.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be there.
I got to run, but tell us quickly about the seniors. I'm in a hurry. I appreciate that. Thank you. Go ahead.
You bet. Hey, everybody, let's do what you can for the senior centers. I mean, we're going to need them one day. Zeb and I are getting closer and closer. So
I'm closer than you are.
God bless.
Thanks, buddy. Oh, don't forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And they're having a big fall tire sale right now where you can save up to $152 on a set of 4 select light truck and SUV tires. Oh, yeah. Like the Backcountry MT or the Backcountry All-Terrain. All of this and more. Please stop in for your vehicles at this fall tire sale. Doing the right thing since 1952. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. I cannot stress enough with the colder weather coming on, check your battery. If you need a new one, they've got all the good ones at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland and Burley. The best, absolutely, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I'll be back after the news. Don't go away. Richard Manning's up next. Ay, 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 my grandmother used to say about the news that was going on. And good morning, Zeb at the Ranch, and brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations involved in a great big fall tire sale. Stop in and see them today. Also, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing, Independent Senior Living, beautiful, beautiful place, 1221 21st Street in Hayburn, seniors living the good life with friends. Wheels, old buddy, old pal, can we have this good word for Western Waste?
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, I urge you to get on the route service, and once a week they'll come by with that big truck, pick up your garbage. You can stand on the back porch and wave goodbye to all that garbage. Yes, sirree, Bob, they are good. They're efficient at Western Waste Services. Always at your disposal. Number to call to get on the route service, 734-6969. Western Waste Services, serving you. Call them today. Also want to remind you, too, about Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, all teamed up to offer the iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox, featuring remote control access. You can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere, any place. That's right, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. Keep yourself comfy. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. One other word I've got to get in here real quick because I want to talk about some people that are really community-oriented in serving you and your family. When there's the passing of a loved one, Hanson Mortuary with Joel Heward and his staff and family are always there to serve you and your family with the best possible support and comfort, and always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, and the number to call 436-5636. I'll repeat it again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary serving you. And Joel Heward also helping you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and absolutely one of my favorite guests to have on the show, President of Americans for Limited Government. I say good morning, and he's probably put in an application to become the new Redskins coach. Richard Manning, good morning.
Good morning. No, I have more good sense than to go into that kind of environment and try to make sense of it.
Now, wait a minute. Why would you say...
in terms of football, the one thing I will tell you is it makes absolutely no sense to hire the offensive line coach to be the head coach when the offensive line was the number one reason why Jay Gruden got fired. So, nonetheless, it's the intrigue in the Washington Redskins can only be matched by the intrigue in the intelligence services and in the House Intel Committee. So, we can. That's something I'd like to be in charge of.
I tell you what, that was a beautiful, absolutely college class segue. I love that. That was really good. But here's my question for you, and please help me. I'm just a simple old cowboy from the state of Idaho. We had whistleblower number one. That was a whistleblower, but was not privy to the information firsthand. Now, we've got whistleblower number two that supposedly had firsthand information, but now we find out this morning that his whistleblower knowledge isn't any better than whistleblower number one. I'm a little confused on this. Straighten out the trail for me.
We already saw this trail. It was done during the Kavanaugh hearing. It's the same exact trail. You have a shady law firm run by, in this case, some Hillary Clinton operatives who have been trolling for whistleblowers. You have people who are in the government bureaucracy who are avidly anti-Trump resistors, and they are making stuff up. Here's what every single listener needs to know. The president went and he declassified a highly unusual step. He declassified the actual conversation. And in that conversation, there was no quid pro quo. The conversation happened in late July. We know that this for very simple reasons. Number one, at the end of the conversation, the president of Ukraine asks our help on trying to get to the bottom of the Joe Biden situation, not vice versa. He asked for our help. Now, why would he do that? Well, because as early as we know, at least in April, before the current president of Ukraine was even elected, the equivalent of the Attorney General of the Ukraine, was requesting assistance from Attorney General Barr to get to the bottom of the Joe Biden situation. Why were they active on it? Because they read Joe Biden's book and they saw his YouTube video bragging about that he had made a call and gotten the prosecutor fired. So, because you know what they have in Ukraine? YouTube. Okay? They have Amazon. They have the capacity to buy Joe Biden's book that was all about how wonderful, what a great job he did in Ukraine. So every political figure in Ukraine had read the book, had watched the video. They say, wait a second, if he actually called up our government and got somebody fired, got the Attorney General fired, that's a problem. So guess what? Joe Biden, by bragging in his book about how much power he had, and how he essentially got the former president fired, who told him to quit, and then how he got through the Council of Foreign Relations speech, got the Attorney General, whatever the name of the position is, but effectively the Attorney General, fired within a few hours with a threat that he was going to withhold the defense money that the Ukraine government needed. Under those circumstances, the Ukraine government opened an investigation on Joe Biden. And in the Trump conversation with the Ukraine president, who was elected after the investigation was opened, he the Ukraine president asked the U.S. president for his help in making certain that they can get to the bottom of the corruption in Ukraine involving American citizens. This is really simple, okay? So the whistleblowers are smoke around the actual fire.
Mm-hmm.
And the actual fire is really not about Joe Biden even. The actual fire is the fact that Ukraine, according to numerous reports by left-wing sources, Politico and others in D.C., was at the epicenter of the Russiagate fabrication against the President of the United States, against President Trump. And so the President, when he said, would you do me a favor, he was asking for the government to help Bob Barr get to the bottom of what happened in terms of Russiagate so it could never happen again. Exactly what your listeners and I have been begging the U.S. government to do, which is to try to go after the people who actually started this house fire. So that's what's going on. It's this whole second whistleblower is a smokescreen. They used it in the Kavanaugh hearing where they kept bringing out, you had Michael Avenatti and other shady people bringing out all these false accusers who, many of whom didn't even realize they were making an accusation, and none of it verified. Well, now they figured their problem was that that these people had to go public and had to be seen in public. But if they can hide them behind a whistleblower statute, at that point, they can hide who they are and nobody will know, and they can let the allegation linger without having to actually defend the individual who's making it. And so it's all a fraud.
Wow. Now, you did lay that out absolutely in terms that each and every person can readily accept and understand. But I'm going to go back and throw one more fly in the milk, because I don't understand why this particular person has so much power, or this person has so much damning ability, and that is Adam Schiff. He had information long before it came out that he had certain information. Is this guy really with a sole vendetta of bringing down the Trump administration? What are your thoughts about Adam Schiff?
How can I say this nicely? In a way, first of all, I grew up in Southern California. Adam Schiff represents a district in Southern California that used to be one of the most conservative districts in America. And that district apparently is no longer that. My stepbrother actually lives in the district. So I'm not at all, it's not that I'm unfamiliar with where he comes from. He is a person who is, I think, has lied continuously for the past 3 years. He's abused his position as the ranking member of the Intel Committee and now the chairman of the House Intel Committee. He's abused it repeatedly. He's the guy who got on television hundreds of times saying that, if you only knew what we knew here in the House Intel Committee, you would be appalled, and you would all be up in arms to impeach the president. It turned out there was nothing. He had an empty briefcase. Mueller didn't give him anything, and and it was all a fraud. He was a front man. And now he's coming out with, trust me, I'm working with whistleblowers well in advance, and we're going to get all of our eggs in a row, and then we're going to take down the president in impeachment, because on our agenda when we got elected in January 2018, we said we're going to impeach President Trump. And by the way, the Washington Post on January 2017, when the President Trump took office, had a headline to say first day of impeachment. So this is not, these guys have an agenda, and they're focused on it, and that is to take down the President Trump at all costs. And unfortunately, Adam Schiff's district supports him in that effort. And so he doesn't face as much backlash back home as he might if he represented a place like Idaho. So we've got a pretty clear-cut situation where he's dishonest. He's been dishonest repeatedly. He said he and his people hadn't met with the whistleblower number one. They had a month beforehand, and were set up the whole darn thing. And so this is all made up. It is hard to imagine that one person hiding under the cloak of secrecy of the House Intel Committee could do more damage to our country. But Adam Schiff is I have very few nice things to say to him. I hope that he finds Jesus.
That's a good way to put it.
I say that knowing that he is ethnically Jewish.
Yeah.
But he needs to ask for forgiveness.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question for you, Rick. Stand by. Caller, quickly. You're on the air. Thank you.
Yes, I just want to know why the Democrats are going through this fiasco of trying to impeach the president, because we know he's not going to get removed from office when the Senate votes. Do you have any ideas as to why? Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, I think they're doing it because they don't have anything else. They banked everything on impeachment back in 2018. We had the head of the House Judiciary Committee was heard on that phone call before the House Democrats took over in 2018 on an Amtrak, speaking loudly with a reporter sitting across from him, talking about how they were going to, their plan for impeachment and how they're going to move forward. So there is a significant portion of the Democrat base that wants impeachment. They have never accepted the legitimacy of Donald Trump as president. Donald Trump has in fact, ripped apart much of Obama's agenda, and which is a good thing. But if you were supporting Obama's agenda, that becomes something which you're trying to derail. And one of the best ways of trying to derail it is to spend 3 years making it so the person is under a constant cloud of suspicion and in constant jeopardy. Listen, the damage they're doing is so immeasurable. It's hard to imagine, but we've got the Chinese coming in to have another trade conversation. Is America's position stronger with the Chinese by having these idiots move forward with stuff that they know is made up crap? The answer is no.
Absolutely.
So the question is, what side are they on? Is America's position better off when we're trying to deal with North Korea and nuclear North Korea, with the president going through this or not? When we know it's fake that they're making up, the answer is no. The U.S. position's not stronger. So when we look at the Middle East, is our position stronger in dealing with an Iran that's trying to get nuclear weapons and destroy Israel? Is our position stronger today than it was because of with the impeachment stuff going on? Is it stronger or weaker? It's weaker. So unless in a world stage on the trade, this president is remaking the world trade around the world. But it's really hard to get the stuff done if you got Congress unwilling to actually vote on things like the USMCA, which is U.S.-Mexico-Canada replacement for NAFTA, which is really a really good deal. So we're looking at for the United States. So if you're looking at it from just an objective standpoint, it has to be one of two things. They actually believe that sometime he's corrupted Donald Trump. They have to believe either this. Donald Trump is so corrupt at his core, he's been managed to get rid of it, get away with it. We're frustrated. We're going to get him on something. He can't be president. It's horrible that he's president. Or Donald Trump is doing so many great things that we don't like. He's unwinding our entire agenda. And in unwinding our agenda, America is beginning to thrive. America is growing and thriving. And we don't want that because he's taking a country in a direction different than we were hoping to take it. Well, at that point, that might be the reason, is trying to cripple his administration.
Yeah.
I think they're almost pathologically sick, but it's because I just can't imagine anybody would intellectually try to destroy their own country based on, I don't like different kinds of trade deals being done. So I think they're pathologically sick. But I mean, it's I don't have any great answers here. I don't want to be in their minds.
I want to just shift gears for a moment. I've got about 3 minutes left, and I want to talk a little bit about the Democratic possible nominees for the presidency. We've got Joe Biden and a mess that is unraveling every day regarding his son Hunter with the Ukraine and China and lots of big bucks. We've got Bernie Sanders now, and I say this and I mean this, unfortunately with a heart attack. I don't wish anybody any ill will, and a couple of stents put in. We've got Elizabeth Warren, the world's greatest storyteller and fabricator, now rising basically like cream to the top of the Democratic Party. And then we've got a slew of also-rans. This is like a Chinese fire drill, if you will, and I equate that to the Democratic Party. Do you think I'm wrong?
I think you're right, but you're missing the person who's going to, who is being pushed now by the Wall Street part of the Democratic Party to offset Warren, and that is Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
Biden's fall is an opening for Clinton because the people who would have voted for Biden would vote for Clinton, and they're being looking for a champion, and there's nobody in that race right now who is their champion. So, don't discount the fact that that Hillary Clinton is suddenly making moves all around the country on being in a lot of media, and she's as they used to say about Richard Nixon, she's tanned, rested, and ready. And so, do not discount Hillary Clinton reemerging through this process.
When you say that, I was given a story this morning, as a matter of fact, about former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown saying that she is the only Democrat who can beat Trump. How would you respond to that? Is that really where you feel this morning we're at as far as a resurgence of Hillary coming back into the race?
I think that validates everything I just said.
Yeah.
The money people in the Democratic Party don't believe that Elizabeth Warren's the right candidate. Kamala Harris, who I thought would do well, has proven to be not ready for prime time. And there's nobody in that field who's emerged as being as somebody who the Democrat elites believe can beat Trump. So, re-engaging and having her say, essentially, if you do this tied into impeachment, it's the other possibility. You go to do the impeachment, you reignite the Democrats to think that that Russiagate was real, and Hillary comes back as the victim of Russiagate, and and they can't allow for the actual underlying causes of it, which was Hillary, to come out. But from a practical perspective, she's the victim at this point in the Democratic eyes. And so she can come back as a very sympathetic figure who should have been president.
Ay, ay, ay. My German grandmother always used to listen to the news and go, ay, 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 and she was right.
Sorry, it's the world I live in. It is an interesting world where there's endless possibilities, and it's just but just looking at how things are moving, how different checkers are being put on the board, you can't help but notice that an awful lot of the national media is paying attention to Hillary Clinton at a time when there's no reason why anybody should be paying attention to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I agree. You laid it all out, and believe me, chapter and verse that everyone can understand and appreciate. President of the Americans for Limited Government, and that's my dear friend Rick Manning. I mean this. God bless you, man. Have a good week. I'll look forward to next Monday.
Absolutely. At dailytorch.com, we've got a lot written on it, and I appreciate anybody going to it and checking it out.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rick, and look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, take care. The man lays it all out and does it in very explanatory tones, and I appreciate that very much, Rick Manning. Thank you. Want to remind you about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Whoa, let me tell you, they have helped me, and they continue to help me. I've got some problems with my knees and my shoulders, and I'll tell you, Nick Greenwell and the rest of the staff over there, they really know physical therapy, all the exercises, and what will help you get back to being you. Along with the use of that hydrotherapy pool, the only one of its kind in the area, I urge you today, don't put it off. If you're aching and paining, you get a hold of Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Number to call. Make an appointment, 678-1191. I'll say it again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Lee's Furniture. My goodness sakes, Jeff and the rest of the folks are having a great big fall clearance over there. Are you aware of that? Listen to this. They have a mattress closeout going on where you can save up to 60% off on certain mattresses like the deluxe twin mattresses, $99. What? I'm not kidding. And limited hybrid mattresses starting at just $199, and the premium Beauty Rest mattresses starting at $799. All of this and more at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Don't forget, no money down, no interest for 12 months on approved credit. You better check it out with my friends and your friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More in Burley. Really, really good people. In just a moment, we are going to have the return of one of my best friends and my favorite segments, so stay tuned for that. Mystery guest coming up. Let's not forget that Let's Ride 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, do they sell fun? Yes, they do. All the four-wheelers, all the side-by-sides, they've got it all. Can you imagine the weather? Look at the sky outside, blue sky, sunshine, and all the colors are changing on the trees. Get up in the mountains and enjoy. Just flat enjoy. Let's Ride 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Open Monday through Friday 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. They've got the best of accessories and a super service department to keep you running. Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. It has literally been months and months since we have visited with this man. He's been a friend of this program for a long, long time and will continue to be. And it's a blessing to have him back after a long bicycle trip around the United States of America. And I say good morning to my old buddy, Frosty Woldridge. How are you?
Well, good morning, Zeb, and happy autumn to you and Deanne, your staff, of course, and Damon. Good to hear your voices and all the listening audience. It's nice to be back in the saddle behind my transom here and getting involved and ready to go.
You know, Frosty, I don't want to take a lot of time on this because we've got a lot of issues to discuss in a short period of time. But during your 40-state bike journey, what was, if you can lump it together in just a few sentences, what was the biggest thing that you learned that maybe you weren't aware of before?
You know, one of the things that you go through 40 states, especially the way I have this summer on a bicycle and certainly on a motorcycle and doing a circumnavigation of the United States, you really meet the finest people in the world. You have the extraordinary generosity, friendly smiles of Americans. You have this exquisite landscape that is second to none in the world. I mean, we are so blessed. And I visited 15 national parks, and without a doubt, this country, the people in this country, have been blessed with an extraordinary continent to live on, to work on, to play in, and that really came through this summer on this journey.
Let me ask you this then, of the states that you went to on this bike journey around America, what was the prominent problem that all of them are addressing right now? Is there one worry or one major concern?
Well, there certainly is. And I'm going to be writing a lot of columns for those of you who would like to read them, and there's one this morning in newswithviews.com, and it talks about the problems. It's called the problems or the bad things happening to America today will get worse in America tomorrow. And of course, when you get to see the nitty-gritty like I do, and delve into and ride your bike through Los Angeles and see an absolute living nightmare of 60,000 people living in blue tarp tents and nylon tents on the streets, when you see the same thing going on in Miami, Florida, when you see the unbelievable nightmare of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Somaliland, and you see what's going on in Detroit, Michigan, where the immigrants simply are not assimilating into the American way of life, and in fact are very combative and anti-American. It's in Atlanta. What's most overwhelming of the 20 cities, the major cities that I traveled through? Unbelievable gridlock traffic. I mean, the traffic is just crammed and jammed and compacted and angry and seething and smoking and all that goes with it. So that's, Baltimore, to go through the city of Baltimore, to go through the city of Chicago, I felt like I would be dodging bullets the whole time. And so that is, Los Angeles, San Francisco's a nightmare now. What I'm seeing, and I did see this summer, is literally the deformation of America from an America that we once knew 50 years ago to a polyglot, multicultural, diversity, a boiling pot where you simply don't have the cohesiveness that holds us in the center as Americans. And that really stood out, especially with I probably gave at least 100 interviews of people on the streets across America, black, white, brown, and what they were feeling and how they were thinking. And so that is probably the one thing. And what is so frustrating to go through those 40 states and those 20 major cities is that we're about to add 140 million more people to this boiling cauldron, and most of it coming from outside our country. So that is the challenge, and that is the crisis, and that is the dilemma that's facing all Americans. And I don't care what color you are, I don't care what race you are, I don't care what religion you are. You and your children, if you're here in the next 30 years, are going to be living through what I saw in India and what I saw in Mexico City and what I saw in Indochina and what I saw in all the major cities that I've traveled through in my lifetime. And that is, there's simply too many people, too little land, too little water, too little energy, and too little environment to hold all of this. So that's what we're facing, and that's what I got to see this summer, Zeb.
Yeah, there you go. You've kind of kicked the football down the field right now for a lot of discussion, not only today, but in the future. But I'm going to ask you a very simplistic question, and please bear with me on this. And the question is, why? Why are we as Americans, as taxpayers, people that want to follow the law, people that want to follow the Constitution, why are we allowing this erosion of America?
And I wrote about it in this column, which I really, in the title of the column, please go to newswithviews.com this morning, or even freedomsphoenix.com down in Phoenix, Arizona, has featured it on the front page. It's called "What's Bad in America Today Will Become Worse in the Years Ahead." And I start out, during my 40-state bike journey around America this summer, I witnessed up close and personal exactly what's happening to our country. More than 90% of Americans don't possess a clue as to what's happening to them and the rest of us and our major cities. Most of our big cities, major welfare magnets, no longer can be called American cities because immigrants dominate them and Americans continue fleeing them. We assume that all immigrants want to live here, thrive here, and become Americanized. This would be a gross mistake when you saw what I saw in my travels this summer. So what I saw, as a matter of fact, I'm on my block, Jerry, he's the head of the HOA on my block where I live here in Golden, Colorado. And I started describing Detroit to him, and I started describing L.A. to him. He absolutely had no clue that that was what's going on. This guy's a very intelligent, very well-educated, very successful man. And so what I'm seeing is that most Americans living where they're living and completely insulated and isolated from what is literally impacting all of the major cities like Atlanta, like New York, like Baltimore, like Miami, like Chicago, like Detroit, like Cleveland, like L.A., like Los Angeles, like Seattle. There's 6,000 homeless in Seattle. And how do I know? Because I rode right through them on my bicycle. On my bicycle, folks. I rode right through San Francisco. 11,000, count that, 11,000 people living in tents. And then, of course, the 59,000, that's the official count, 59,000 living in tents and tarps in a 50-block area and under the bridges all over Los Angeles. Much of the same thing going on in Miami, Florida. People are living in U-Haul storage sheds. They're camped out all over the hills of California. The human sanitation problem is enormous, and so. And also, I went on the border. I went on the border from San Diego all the way to Brownsville, Texas, folks, on a bike. And I got to see the colonias. Literally, there's 100,000 or more people living in these cities that are just called new neighborhoods, is what they're called, colonias. And they're from Mexico, and they're living on our side of the border, and they're utilizing everything on our side of the border. They're not paying taxes. They're trashing everything in sight. You cannot believe what I saw this summer.
Let me...
So what is really going on is that the American people don't realize that we're importing another 100,000, well, actually, about 120,000 more of these third world immigrants every 30 days. And since they don't know it, they don't understand it, they're not feeling enough of it yet, except in the big cities, then there's simply no response. And I can tell you this, the American Congress, there's 535 of those critters, and I can tell you this, virtually none of them know what's really going on at the border. Even the ones that make their official visit, they don't go to the layup areas. They don't see the tens of thousands of tons of trash out there on the high desert. And I've seen it. I took pictures of it. I mean, I could send them to you right now. So that's what's going on. The American people are not aware, and the newspapers and the radio, NPR is totally as guilty as CNN, that they're not showing what's actually going on in the borders and in our cities, and they simply are overlooking it. And I got to see it up close and personal. So that's why the American people are not looking at it. They're not responding to it because they simply don't know that's what's going on.
Frosty, there's got to be some obvious answers and solutions to some of these problems. I want to back up just for a little bit. When you went through L.A. and you went through San Francisco and you went through Seattle and major problems with homelessness and people living on the streets with the sewage problem, etc. My question again goes back to that three-letter word. Why, when right now in America you can't go down any main street or any other subsidiary streets and not see signs that are begging for help wanted, please inquire within, employment opportunities abound? Why are we seeing this? Is it just that we have a lazy, subservient society to government? What's going on here?
Okay, well, as a 72-year-old American, having come off the farm in Michigan and did the silage and cut the hay and mowed the hay and mowed the hay and baled the hay and cultivated the corn and cultivated and literally clipped the wheat, you name it, milked the cows, I had a really strong foundation in rural America. Okay, so I'm a farm boy, essentially, that became a city boy and who got to be a world traveler. What I'm seeing is that the youth of today, and right here in Golden, Colorado, which is a very wealthy city, in fact, Golden, but not only Golden, but Denver has 10,000 homeless in Denver, Colorado. and there's young kids right on the corners, and they're begging, but they're I need help. God bless, anything will help, and they want money and they need money and all that goes with that. I think, from my observational point of view as a former math and science teacher, but also as a truck driver, and also as a hospital cardiac tech and a heavy equipment trainer, and you name it, what I think has happened to this country is the thing called work, and working your way up. These kids today have been given everything on a silver platter. The schools have been dumbed down to the lowest common denominator, so there's not really excellence going on, and certainly not in Chicago. If I was a teacher in Chicago, I'd quit by noon the first day because there's so much chaos in those classrooms. But that goes on in every city and in all the project cities. And here in Colorado, we have 178 different languages in Denver public schools. 178 languages. Anybody think you can teach 178 languages and still teach your own kids in English? So you get all these kids, these millennials or the X generation or whatever, and they've had a free ride. They didn't have to go to war. They didn't have to go to Vietnam. They didn't have to volunteer for the military. They didn't have to have any kind of loyalty to America. They don't really understand what freedom is because they have never earned any of it. And they've had a really easy deal, and especially school. I mean, look at all the kinds of things that were going on with all these movie stars buying their kids into Stanford, into Harvard, and so forth. Well, look at all the kids that are getting into these schools that really are not invested even in their own education, starting in high school. Well, those kids are turning out on the street, and so work. What's that? And why should I have to work? And so, as a matter of fact, I met 4 guys that were bumming around the country, and I said, "Well, why did you guys go out on the highway and you're sitting here, you're begging for money for food at this gas station, grocery stop?" And they said, "Well, we want to be totally free." And I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, what about responsibility?" I said, "People who give you money, they're the ones that work for the money to give you money." "Well, yeah, but that's their problem."
Wow.
I said, "Well, okay," and I pretty much left that conversation because there was nothing to the end of that conversation. But it kind of gave you an idea of what's going on with the rest of the country, and so I guess that's the only answer I can give. There's no sense of investment in work. There's no sense of investment in investing in your future. There's no sense of a personal accountability and personal responsibility, and that's about, I think, is what's going on.
Well, let me throw this at you then, and to use an analogy of a cavity in your teeth, there's an erosion of the good part of the teeth to the point where now you've got a displacement of the good teeth, and it's starting to erode into a cavity to cause a lot of pain. That's what's happening right now across the United States, and my question would be, to round out our conversation this morning, with this social decay, which it is, can it be corrected, or is it too late?
There's no question it could be corrected, and it's there's some things that I don't think, and I said this in the third paragraph of this column that I wrote this morning. It's all coming at us like a brakeless high-speed train filled with cars of multiculturalism, diversity, endless languages, incompatible religions, and a case of millions of them outright disliking our country. In fact, in Portland, Oregon, just in the last couple of weeks, they've passed certain aspects of Sharia law. Well, folks, Sharia law is the most barbaric treatment toward women, toward children, toward animals, and toward human rights that has ever been based on the earth. And it's deadly, and it's malignant, and it's spreading across America. It's getting its tentacles into just about every place of this country where it's starting to settle. And Sharia law is now practiced de facto in places like Minneapolis, Minnesota, and that's outside and in violation of federal law. And honor killings that are going on now, average of 25 a year. Certainly the 500,000 cases of female genital mutilation and tens of thousands more that are occurring. So for me, I have said it and I'll continue to say it for the last 2 years, we need to shut down the borders of America to all immigration. We simply can't we need to go to homeostasis, and we chose that back in 1970 when we started the average female in this country, black, white, brown, red, and yellow, we've been averaging two children, 2.03 children since 1970. Our major push of all of this multiculturalism and diversity and languages and incompatible religions has to do with the 1965 Immigration Reform Act, which has been dumping all these people on us. And if we don't stop it, then we will not survive.
You know, in future programs, I want you to kind of lay out a little trail for us, if you would. We've got this excellent piece that you just wrote, What's Bad in America Today Will Become Worse in the Years Ahead. What can we expect to learn from future writings as to maybe the problems, the effects of the problem, and how to correct or change the problems?
Well, you know, in this piece, and what I did was publish a bunch of letters of people that I talked to
right.
Around the country, literally on the East Coast, in California, in Maine, in Michigan, and one of them, his name was Rick, and he was in Idaho. And he said, Sam Francis wrote this, and I'm quoting it, "You cannot separate a culture from the genetic endowments of its founding people, nor can you expect to transfer it to another people."
Mm-hmm.
Does that impact you? You cannot separate a culture from the genetic endowment of its founding people, nor can you expect to transfer it to another people.
Absolutely.
Again, so that goes to the heart of what we're facing, and I'll spell it out even further, because I just did a 4-part series on the fracturing of America through multicultural diversity. And at some point, there will be a tipping point where there's no way that we can pull ourselves together, because there won't be enough of us in the center to pull ourselves toward each other as a single people. You know, e pluribus unum, out of many is one. Well, now, with what's going on, you're not going to be able to do that at some point, and I'm not sure what that point is at this point. I know that European Americans are going to become the new minority by 2042. We will be only 49%, and so then you're going to see all these other ethnic groups and all this other ethnic clashing going on. So maybe 2042 may be the last hurrah for European Americans in this country, as this place literally turns into everybody else's country.
It's a scary, very scary thought, and we're going to go into and be kind of a detective every week with Frosty and find out what some of the answers are and what the general public can do to help rectify the situation. My dear friend Frosty Woldridge back in Golden, Colorado, it's so good to have you back on the radio, my friend. God bless you. Thank you.
And Zeb, thank you, and God bless America, and each and every one of you listening today. I'm going to do everything I can in the coming months, along with Zeb and Deanne and the staff, to illuminate what's coming, what's happening, and what we have to do as a country and its people to preserve America, to have some kind of a future for our children. And in the end, Zeb, what do we want to hand over to our children? What kind of a society do we want to hand over? And for me, I want to hand over a society that's functioning, that's sustainable, that's viable, that's of one purpose and one people who are pulling in the same direction. And so you can count on me in the coming months.
Absolutely. Thank you, Frosty. Take care of yourself. I'll look forward to next Monday. Thank you so much.
God bless.
All right, sir. All right. My friend, Frosty Woldridge, back in Golden, Colorado, and I always appreciate him being a part of our program. Holy smokes, we've got to get a weather forecast on, and the weather brought to you this hour by our friends at Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, and they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. Boy, they are good, and they know all about how to help you with all of the accounting services for you, your family, and your business. Please, the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning. The list goes on and on and on and on. And they've got 2 offices to serve you, 1710 Overland in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's going to be a nice day as we kick off the work week. Maybe not so nice as we end the work week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting sunny skies for today. Winds out of the east-southeast at about 8 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 66. For tonight, nice and clear. Winds are going to be picking up just a skosh. Expecting a low of 38. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 68. However, the winds will be picking up out of the south, 10 to 15 miles an hour, then out of the west by the afternoon. For tomorrow night, we do have a 20% chance of showers after midnight, mostly cloudy skies. Expecting a low of 31. Winds will continue out of the west at about 20 miles an hour. By Wednesday, 30% chance of snow showers by the afternoon. Partly sunny skies, high of 41. The winds will be consistent as well. Then for Thursday, looks like sunny, much cooler, only a high near 40. Then by Friday, sunny and 51. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebedee.
I appreciate it, Gina, and brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, and they are the best at what they do, the professionals in accounting services to you, your family, and your business. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, offices in Burley and Rupert. Coming up next hour, we have got two really, really interesting people. First of all, Dan Perkins is going to be coming on the air, and we're going to be talking about Adam Schiff and the Democrats and why we're being subjected to all this garbage that they keep continually scratching and digging to throw out more every day. We're going to talk to him about that. Then we're going to be talking about a brand new book out called Crushed to Restored. Dr. Faye Obenadi is going to be on the program at 10:30 this morning, and I'm looking forward to having her on the show. I want to remind you about Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, the best of life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more with people that are really thoughtful and caring about you, and they're very accessible and devoted to serving you. Absolutely. You give them a call at 436-4424. I'll repeat that number again, 436-4424. The best serving you, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Give them a call today. One other quick note, I want to remind you that Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox are all teamed up and offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new home comfort system. I'll hear about that. Anyway, the new home comfort system is the iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox, featuring remote control access so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere. Check it out today. Give Ramsey Heating and Electric a call at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. Don't forget, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. I love live radio. Anyway, we're going to take a little break for a few minutes, and then coming up next hour, Dan Perkins is going to be on the program, and it should be really, really interesting. And the weather forecast sounds like it's going to get a little nasty in the next couple of days, starting, what did Gina say, on Wednesday, and maybe going through Thursday and Friday, maybe even a little snow. So dress warm out there. We're going to take a break for the CBS News. Let them come in and mess up everything we've put together. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh my goodness, I'd like to meet that guy or gal that plays that piano in there. Man, they really go through those ivories. I enjoy that. Hey, good morning, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a great big, I mean really big, fall tire sale going on right now. Stop in and see any one of the 7 locations today. Along with some of our other advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, I also want to remind you, too, about our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, and I want to say it right this time. The iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox, featuring remote control access so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere. And Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering up to $1,600 in rebates. There's the right word. I didn't say it right the last time. On a new system. So make yourself comfortable. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. I get a chance right now to visit with one of my favorite people on the radio, author and political analyst that really knows what he's doing and what's going on, and that's, of course, our dear friend Dan Perkins. Dan, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm fine. How are you?
Not too bad, except that the news, I said earlier this morning, my grandmother, my German grandmother that passed away years ago, whenever she heard something that was not exactly up to speed and kosher, she'd sit back and go, ay, 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 ay. Well, that's what my grandmother would say about Adam Schiff and the Democrats, and I'll let you pick it up from there.
Well, it's interesting because I've written a commentary. It's out for review at the moment. I don't know where it's going to be published, but it'll be on the my website, danperkins.guru, and I'll make sure you get a copy of it. There's a story, Zeb, that nobody's talking about, which is to me more important than the whistleblower story, and it has a little bit to do with Schiff. But here's to me, the more important, very serious story. Nobody's talking about that the deep state in the CIA has been spying on the President of the United States. And they still are. Do you really believe that Donald Trump would have asked any low-level spy from the CIA, why don't you listen in to my call with the Ukrainian president? No. So I don't think anybody invited the first whistleblower to listen to what the other person had to say, secondhand knowledge. And now that there's a second one who's collaborating with the first one said, which is hearsay, what we're talking about is an agency of the United States government, part of the executive branch, is spying and eavesdropping on the President of the United States. That's basically fundamentally wrong. And what it shows is that the deep state is still in play inside the Trump administration. And we have people who are there who are Democrats. We know that the first one has been identified as a Democrat. But they are CIA operatives. And we should be scared to death that the government is spying on the President of the United States, and nobody in the media is raising the question except me.
Okay, but there's another question that I'll throw at you. Why? I mean, I'm very simplistic in my questions most of the time. Why isn't this being thrown out in front of the face of the powers that be? Why aren't people becoming more aware of your question? It's a straight-up, straight-shooting question. How come it hasn't been posed?
I think that what we're dealing with, and I think it's very important. Thank you for asking that question, because I think that we had a false sense of security that when Donald Trump came in, he'd clean up the government. And while he may have been trying to clean up the government, there's still a lot of filth that's still there that's working specifically against him. The mainstream media is never going to tell the story because they are opposed to Donald Trump. Now, with the one exemption was that the Washington Post last Friday, the fact-checker column, gave Mr. Schiff 4 Pinocchios for lying about the document, the transcript of the phone call between the President and the President of Ukraine. 4 Pinocchios. So but I also wrote last week, we had the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee standing before his committee and the American people with paper in hand, supposedly reading from the transcript of the phone call between the two presidents, and nothing could have been further from the truth. It was all manufactured. None of it was true. And because he said it from the floor of the House in a congressional committee, there are no repercussions for him. None. When he we must understand that when a congressman or a senator speaks from a position of a committee hearing or goes to the floor of the Senate and speaks and makes a statement, that is part of the permanent record of the United States called the congressional record. But when they walk off the floor and say something else, it is not part of the congressional record. So what did Schiff do? He made his representation, lied about what the content of the transcript of the meeting, and then after he got all the press he wanted and needed, he says to the media, well, that was really basically a parody or a spoof. But he said it off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So it will never be in the congressional record. So his reading of the account of the transcript that he read from his committee chair will be the permanent record of the United States.
Wow.
And the Washington Post called him out on it, but nobody else is in the leadership of the Congress. Nancy Pelosi's not going to do anything. Now we know that it's possible that either Schiff or his staff was working with the whistleblower before the whistleblower released his statement. In fact, they helped him draft the statement. Now we learned over the weekend that the same law firm that is holding or working with the first whistleblower is now working for the second whistleblower. And if you look at the lead counsel, many whistleblowers. Now, the point I have to ask here, how is it that one firm is representing at least two or more potential whistleblowers? Number two, who's going to pay them?
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to be like Christine Blasey Ford? Are they going to get pro bono work? Because under the whistleblower statute, one of the things that the whistleblower gets for being a whistleblower, they get to keep their job, but if there's a fine or a penalty, they get a percentage of whatever that fine or penalty is. There's no fine or penalty in this whistleblowing. This is a political statement that they disagree with what the president said. So there is no monetary compensation. So who's going to pay for the lawyers? The Washington lawyers are not cheap. Nobody's asking that question. So this is a political motivation, and it's not based in fact. And we had, in addition, we had the Speaker of the House of Representatives who ordered an investigation, an impeachment investigation. That's not the way it works. The House has to vote for an impeachment investigation in order for it to convene. And what she did by taking upon herself to convene the information, she took away the rights, the constitutional rights of Donald Trump to defend himself, to be able to cross-examine, and to be able to receive under discovery all the things that are used against him. So I think there were two events last week that were incredibly, incredibly important. One, we found out that Mr. Schiff lied to the American people when he wrote the notes. That was very important because it puts his credibility in question. But the most important thing that didn't get a lot of press, the most important thing were three words that Donald Trump said late in the week in reaction to the possibility of an impeachment trial. And he said these three words: bring it on.
Let me ask you something. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were finished with your point. Go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
So what I'm saying is that the Democrats didn't believe that the president would ever release the transcript of the phone call. They thought they had him.
Yeah.
And he did. And now he's basically saying to them, bring it on. I want a right as every American to defend myself against my accuser.
Absolutely.
They didn't expect that. So they're deep in putting themselves deeper and deeper into the hole, and more outlandish and less credibility of what's going on. Now I'm done. You can...
No. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was rude. I heard that pause, and I thought it was my turn to start rowing the boat, and I forgot to pay attention. Let let me ask you this question, and promise me that as a friend you won't laugh and giggle at me, okay?
I promise I won't do that.
All right, but the first three words of our Constitution say, "We the people." And then it goes on, and later on in that first paragraph it says, "to promote the general welfare." Okay, if we take the assumption of we the people to promote the general welfare, and we look at this situation with the whistleblowers, and we look at this situation with the Democrats, and we look at this situation with the lying and the wasting of all of our money, why couldn't there be a private investigation funded by taxpayers or businesses or corporations to get the lawyers and fund an investigation into why all this started in the first place with the Biden and China and, of course, the Ukraine, instead of relying on the government?
Well, that's nothing to laugh at all. That's a big chunk of stuff to unpack. I'm trying to figure out, in understanding your question, what corporation or what private sector people would be capable. And why would the government want to cooperate? Why would the government want to cooperate? See, I think you inadvertently opened the door of something else that I've already started to write on. If this situation goes through, and I wrote about part of this last week, Seb. Let's suppose we should understand that the House can issue a bill of impeachment for anything they want that they believe is a crime of high crimes and misdemeanors. Whether they are or not is not relevant. They issue the bill of impeachment. It goes to the floor of the House. They need 218 votes to pass it, and then it goes to the Senate for the trial, which the 100 senators are the jury, and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is the trial judge. That's all true. However, most people don't know this. And I'm not going to try. I'm not trying to embarrass you by asking you this question. If Donald Trump is impeached by the House and he goes to trial in the Senate and he's acquitted, can he be impeached again?
Not on the same circumstances. Isn't that double jeopardy?
Well, there's no double jeopardy provision under the impeachment clause because it's not a civil trial. It's a political trial. So when I say to people that we could have a situation where that the Democrats retain control of the House, Donald Trump gets reelected, he gets a greater majority in the Senate than he had before, and as a result of the impeachment trial, the Democrats have decided they're going to try and impeach him again on a new set of whatever it is. So there is no limit to the number of times that a president can be impeached. However, I do think that there is a point in time when the American electorate will say, enough. And one of two things will happen. There'll be a tremendous shift in the 2022 midterm elections where a significant number of Democrats will not be reelected. Number two, I would begin to see a significant press at the state level for an Article 5 convention of the states. Mm-hmm. And that convention of the states could be called, and they could literally recall all of the senators and congressmen, and the president, vice president, judges of the Supreme Court, and start over. And I think it's a long shot at the moment, but I think a possibility as an option.
Dan, we have a caller with a question, and I want to dovetail back into what I said a minute ago and have you respond a little bit further. But caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, my question would be, since the DNC pretty much has brought these false allegations up and have been on his heels like hounds since he was inaugurated as president and voted into office, is it possible at all in any way, shape, or form to make them repay the American citizens the tax money that's been wasted on these witch hunts and these allegations and all this kind of crap? I'll let you go.
Yeah, that's a good question about reimbursement or reciprocity back to the American public. What about that, Dan?
Well, I mean, theoretically, it sounds like a wonderful thing to happen, but from a practical standpoint, no. It's like, should we get a reimbursement because the Mueller case didn't prove to be successful for the Democrats? Should they get a refund? No. That's the process. We have a process that says, if these things happen, we have to have these things happen. And even though they're accusations and they're not proven to be true, we have a situation where people have a right to understand what are the facts. Now, whether the Congress does a fair and honest job is a separate issue. But no, there is no provision in the Constitution that allows the American people to reimburse for the spending of the Democratic Party in trying to do the witch hunt. I wish there was, but there isn't.
Dan, going back to what I mentioned a little bit ago, maybe I wasn't exactly clarified my remarks. When I said about getting businesses and corporations involved, maybe with the funding to provide money to pay for these high-powered attorneys, we've got the Biden situation, which really is at the crux of the matter about who said what, where the money was coming from, the firing of a prosecutor, Hunter Biden, drug addict, all of a sudden multimillionaire, handling large sums of money with the Ukraine and China. All of these things are not going to be investigated, I think, to the Americans' content unless we get some investigators to really go in there and find it, because the Republicans lack the backbone. That's why I said I would be in favor of a We the People campaign to garner the facts and just hold it up in front of them and say, you're toast.
Yeah. Well, I understand what you're saying. I look at it. I have the former Vice President of the United States who says that he's been empowered by the President to represent our country's interest in the Ukraine and in China, who stands up before the Club on Foreign Relations and makes no bone about saying that he told the Ukrainian government, if you don't fire this guy within 6 hours when I'm leaving, you're not going to get the $1 billion. Now, that's on the public record. It's there on video. He says it. Now, why would the government choose to why would the president give Joe Biden the responsibility to handle the relationship between China and the Ukraine?
Yeah.
Did it have something to do with the fact that his son, Hunter, was involved with business dealings between China and the Ukraine? And why would the President of the United States abdicate his responsibility for the relationship between China and the United States to the Vice President?
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of issues here. And one of the things that I wrote about recently is this on this subject matter is that right now there's only room in the media, mainstream media, for two people. That right now is Joe Biden and President Donald Trump. The rest of the candidates running for the Democratic nomination are getting very little airtime, almost none. So Joe Biden is trying to hold on to his lead and hold on to the position, and Elizabeth Warren seems to be gaining some ground. But because there's only room for two people, it's Joe Biden and the president. The question will become, will the circular firing squad of the Democratic Party put Joe Biden in the middle and get rid of him? And if they do, will the mainstream of the Democratic Party warm to Elizabeth Warren for their candidate? No, I don't think so. So again, I said this to you before. I continue to believe it to be true. And what's interesting is more and more people are now writing what I talked about starting almost a year ago. I believe that the Democratic convention will not have a clear winner going in, and it will be turned into a brokered convention, and Hillary Clinton will be the nominee for the Democratic Party.
Well, I'll say this much. Being fairly close to Halloween, you are scaring me again to death.
I think it's going to happen because, look, she did a show, a 26-minute interview last Friday night on Colbert. she spent 1 minute and 30 seconds talking about her book, and she spent the rest of the time talking about the campaign, the election, and what she believes. And I understand, Zeb, that the Democratic Party is the party of victims. And if you looked at victimhood in the dictionary, the number one victim would be Hillary Clinton, because her election to the presidency was stolen by Donald Trump and the Russians, they believe. And so she is the biggest victim in the history of the Democratic Party. And therefore, she's entitled to another shot.
Oh, my goodness. All I can say is that's why I like having you on the program as often as I can get you, because you are a straight shooter. And Dan Perkins, nationally recognized expert on foreign policy and energy, thank you. And a great author, too. I appreciate you for being on the program, and please come back soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Always enjoy to be with you.
All right. Thank you, Dan Perkins. Wow. That's, if you're keeping score, by the way, this morning we've had two major guests that are big on the political scene nationally here in this United States. Both Richard Manning and Dan Perkins both say, look out, Hillary is looming on the horizon. Oh, my goodness. Whew. Want to remind you about our dear friends at Greystone Crossing. My goodness sakes, if you're a caregiver and need to be out of town for a few days or even a few weeks, I urge you to call Matt and Kelly Wiggins. They would welcome your loved one to their home environment at Greystone Crossing for a short stay. This is a beautiful location. How do I know? I've taken the tour and looked at it, and they've done a wonderful job. And along with the great 3 meals a day and all the snacks and the housekeeping and the local transportation available, this would be an absolute wonderful environment for your loved one. So please call them and find out at 208-650-4979. Once again, 208-650-4979. Matt and Kelly Wiggins at Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studio. I'll be back in just a few minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Oh, thank you on a good-looking Monday right now here in the Magic Valley. And, of course, we want to urge you to remember some really good people that are your electronics headquarters. And I'm talking about Patterson's Electronics at 421 East Main in Burley. Hello, Curtis and Lorena and the rest of the staff. Wow. They've got all your electronic needs. And don't forget, they've got all the Ring hardware, for your home security system on your door. Absolutely very important. And they've got it right there at Patterson's in Burley, along with your home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems, all your television sets, Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs, all of this right there at Patterson's. Don't forget they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley, 678-6997. I'm on the phone right now with a lady that absolutely has written a book that I want to find out a lot more about. The book is called Crushed to Restored, and I just can't wait to find out more about it. And I'm going to say her name, and then I'm going to open her up for criticizing me on how I mispronounced the name. So here we go. Dr. Feyi Obanadi, am I close?
Thank you so much, Zeb. Good morning to you and your audience. Close. It's Feyi Obamahiti. So close will do it.
You know what? You made my day. I am so sorry. I hate it when people mispronounce other people's names, but I apologize to you. Thank you for being so kind about that.
It's okay.
Tell us.
And I know your heart, so I get that all the time.
Well, I appreciate that. Tell us a little bit about your book, and then I want to go into various aspects of it. Crushed to Restored. What is the book about, please?
Principles of Restoration from the Book of Nehemiah. is my life story of what God did in restoring my life, the different pieces of my life that were broken, and God healing me and bringing me through the place of wholeness. I was born in Phoenix, Arizona, to amazing people that were basically Nigerians, and they were here in the 60s to go to school. I was the only child between both of them. Immediately I was born, just a few weeks, things fell apart. And that's actually a title of another book by a Nigerian author that is well known. And things will go really, really from bad to worse. And so I was sent as a baby, 6 months old, to fly on the 16-hour flight all by myself to Nigeria. And I was raised by my paternal grandparents, one of the best germs and humans that God created. And through their love and stability, God gave me the foundation I needed in the practical nurturing of what a family is all about. And through them also, I got to experience salvation, because while I was living with them at age 15, my biology teacher invited me to a youth camp. And at that youth camp, the Lord got a hold of my heart, of my life, and my life was turned around. If that had not happened, I don't think all the trauma that basically came afterwards, I would have been able to make it. I will not be talking with you today. So that experience that God gave me at age 15 will be the foundation of what God built in restoring my life, because right after that, everything just unraveled in my life.
You know, Doctor, when I hear people that have gone through terrific trauma and all kinds of sorrow and heartache, none of us are immune to that. I believe all of us have had our own particular heartaches and challenges that we've had to overcome. What do you want to try to make this book be to them? As kind of a lamppost so they can see the way to a better life? I mean, give us kind of the thesis as to what they expect to see and find at the end of the book.
Great question. The goal is, when God gave me the instruction to write this book, I did not have the courage to even begin. And that's because of the fear factor associated with a lot of people that have gone through trauma. And you said it correctly. And trauma is part of the human experience, and we all go through one form or the other. However, our response to it is what determines how we come out of it. And responding in a way that glorifies God at the end really assures us of victory and the kind of life that we get to live for the glory of God. My goal in obeying the Holy Spirit is to show people the power in God's Word, and that God's Word has the ability to breathe upon those areas in our lives that we've probably kept under the rug for a long time, maybe due to shame, guilt, or hurt. If we bring it out to the open, there's power in God's to heal us and for us to overcome and come out on the other side as if nothing ever happened to us. So my desire and prayer is that anyone that has gone through trauma, they will boldly and courageously confront that trauma, bring it out to the open, allow God's Word, allow the Holy Spirit to breathe upon it. It might involve other people, such as spiritual leaders or licensed counselors, to walk with them, but they will begin that journey because now they're confronting that dark area in their life, and God will begin to breathe upon them. God used the truth and the power in the book of Nehemiah to do just that for me. And I know He's no respecter of persons. He will do it for anyone that will come to Him.
You know, Doctor, as a Christian to a Christian, I absolutely salute you and praise you for this writing of this book underneath the premise of belief in God. But therein lies the problem. There are many, many, many today, and very sadly in increasing numbers, that don't believe in God and don't believe that He can help people. This is a major problem.
It is very true. true. And I've had Zeb since, let's see, March when this book was released. I actually have an email folder where I keep all the correspondence from people that contact me. And many of them do not even believe in God, but they have found a resource in helping them heal their pain. You know, it's like anyone that goes to the hospital when they're sick. You really don't care what the person looks like. You just want to be well. And a lot of the people that do not have a belief in God have found through either their friends or their family, they have stumbled across Crush to Restored. They've picked it up, and they are fascinated that, wow, someone could go through this and still forgive and still live a quality life. I want to know, how did they do it? Well, when they contact me, send me an email, we set up a time to talk. I get to listen and hear their heart, and I get to tell them the honest truth. What you're actually looking for is available by freely asking. I know it sounds so simple, but there's a God that loves you, and he provided a way of healing for you through his son, Jesus Christ. I know right now it doesn't make any sense, but trust me, if you confess him as Lord, you will begin to see him manifest in your life because it's real. And I've had some of those, they've now shifted from their lack of belief in God to a belief and a confidence that there is a God, and that God loves them, and he's now so interested to be involved in their life to actually heal this pain they've been carrying for a long time. So the issue of believing God is vested in the fact that, do you want to be well? Do you want to be whole? Because if you want to be well and you want to be whole, you really don't care who that doctor is. You just want to be well.
Let me ask you this, Doctor, and again, please bear with me as I state the case here, and then I want to hear your answer. But is organized religion today, be it Lutheran, be it Catholic, be it Presbyterian, doesn't make any difference of the denomination, is organized religion today, in your opinion, dropping the ball in trying to incorporate more people to come to church and know the Word of God?
I think it's very obvious that as a people, I will say as Christianity, it all comes under the umbrella of Christianity. I will say some of it have been unintentionally dropping of ball because of what our culture is faced with. And I am not only talking about our culture here in the Western world, but also across the world. We are dealing with problems that we probably have not seen before, back in those good old days, as people will see it. But I think that is the beauty of your radio program, for example. You have the opportunity every single day to reach out to people, giving them hope. And I believe that we can do a better job. There's always room for us to improve and get better in bringing people to the knowledge of God's truth. And I will say, on the other hand, yes, we've dropped the ball in what we call biblical literacy. And when I say biblical literacy, there's a research out there by Banner that shows that people that are involved with the Bible on a daily basis have a better quality of life. Well, it's not just reading of the Bible, but it's because of the power that is inherent in God's Word. Every time anyone, no matter who they are, pick up that Word of God, life is breathed onto them, whether they realize it or not. So we have room to grow. We have room to be better as organized entity that proclaims the goodness of God, that proclaims the power that is resident in God's Word. We can definitely do better because other areas are doing much better. When we look at entertainment, we look at sports, they're leveraging every single thing that is going on in our world today, especially in the area of technology. So yes, we have room to learn more and grow and see how we can can bring the good news to more people.
You know, every person, and I mean this, every person has obstacles, like I said in the opening of this segment. But it's how you handle those obstacles, how you meet and address those obstacles, and how you overcome those obstacles are what make the difference. And if it weren't for my faith and the Bible Word, I don't think I'd be where I am today.
That's a testament, and I so much can relate to that. I say the same. I always say to God be the glory, because if not for the power of God's love, the power of His Word, the power of the Holy Spirit, we definitely will not be having this conversation today. And I think those of us that have the message of hope, or have the goods, as they say in the world system, need to be bold in sharing the truth of God's Word, because what people are looking for is hope. And hope is a person. His name is Jesus Christ. And He loves them so much. I don't think people really realize how much God loves them, because if they do, they will see that every single thing they're looking for is actually in Him, and is actually provided that way already. We just need to share more and be more friendly in our approach of presenting the good news to people and letting them know that we have a hope that they're all looking for, and His name is Jesus Christ.
Doctor, tell us about the book Crushed to Restored. Where can people obtain a copy of this book?
People can obtain a copy on anywhere books are sold. It's on Amazon, it's on Barnes & Noble, it's on Goodreads, it's on Waterstones, and also they can find it either on our ministry website, Oasis Focus Inc., or the page dedicated to the book itself, CrushedToRestored.org, or they can also find it through the publisher, Advantage Books. So all they need to do is just Google the name of the book and go to those places. They'll be able to find a copy of it. And I always encourage anyone that begins their journey towards restoration and healing to drop me a note to let me know they have started their journey, because I have a prayer journal that I include them on, and I pray for them consistently, believing that the very work that God did in me, He will do that for them as well. And you're very right. How we respond and how we handle the obstacles in our lives is really the key that determines our victory at the end.
I wish you a lot of success with this book. I feel myself very fortunate to have you on this program to talk about this. The book is called Crushed to Restored, and here we go. I'm going to say your name one final time, and I think I've got it down pat. So here we go. Dr. Faye Obama Hinty, is that right?
Bravo. Thank you so much, Zeb, to you and your team. I appreciate you. I love you. You are doing a wonderful job. I have listened to at least 3 of your archives already, and I am just thankful for you. So thank you again for having me today.
God's blessings to you and the great book, Crushed to Restored. Thank you, Doctor, and please come back in the future. I'd appreciate it.
I will love to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful lady right there. And the book is called Crushed to Restored, and Principles of Restoration from the Book of Nehemiah. And I'm going to get a copy of that. Absolutely appreciate her being on the program this morning. We're going to pay some bills right now and have the weather forecast, and then I would just really appreciate some of your calls. So give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Right now, the weather forecast brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Boy, I'll tell you what, delicious meats. Go to their website, check it out, and you'll be able to see all the delicious meats, whether it's the marinated pork ribs or the tri-tips, or whether it's the bacons, all the different bacons, or the sausages, or the bratwurst. Oh, the list goes on and on. Don Scarrow and his great crew at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, and the telephone number 324-7657. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's going to be a nice day as we kick off the work week. Maybe not so nice as we end the work week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting sunny skies for today. Winds out of the east-southeast at about 8 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 66. For tonight, nice and clear. Winds are going to be picking up just a skosh. Expecting a low of 38. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 68. However, the winds will be picking up out of the south, 10 to 15 miles an hour, then out of the west by the afternoon. For tomorrow night, we do have a 20% chance of showers after midnight, mostly cloudy skies. Expecting a low of 31. Winds will continue out of the west at about 20 miles an hour. By Wednesday, 30% chance of snow showers by the afternoon. Partly sunny skies, high of 41. The winds will be consistent as well. Then for Thursday, looks like sunny, much cooler, only a high near 40. Then by Friday, sunny and 51. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebeth Ranch.
And I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. And brought to you by our dear friends at Scarrows Meats. Don and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. You know, it's so easy to get a hold of them, and I urge you to stop over. But if you have any questions, give them a call at 324-7657. Or like I said, go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com, because at Scarrows Meats, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. I take a lot of criticism, and I'm not going to weaken. I absolutely am appalled as to the state of what's going on in our country with our younger people buying into all these different genderisms, if you will. It's a lie. It's absolutely phony, and it's fiction. And this story that comes out of Tennessee, where White Station High School in Tennessee chose its first gender-neutral homecoming queen, or crown, they said. Brandon Allen, a boy, a senior at White Station, accepted the award last Friday at the football game in front of hundreds and hundreds of people while wearing a gold dress and a tiara. You know, this is a sickness that's purveying itself among our young people, and it is not positive. It is not respectful of what the Lord created with male and female genders. And I will come right out and say that anyone or everyone that gets into this genderism of 48, 49 different genders, or today you can be a giraffe, tomorrow you can be a Shetland pony, and then the next day I don't know what you're going to be, is absolutely ludicrous and hurtful to our society. Everyone can live their life the way they want to, but they're trying to push it on everyone else's life as being acceptable. And it's not acceptable. And I'd just like to have your thoughts on this. I've got pictures of this guy, Brandon, standing up on a pedestal wearing a gold dress. And, excuse me, he is one big dude, too. He's probably about 6'3". Weighs about 20 pounds. I can't buy into this, and I won't. I have my free speech. I will continue to denigrate this thought. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call if you would, please. Like to hear what your thoughts are this morning. And give me a jingle on the landline. While I'm waiting, I'm going to cough while I'm waiting. I'm sorry. For your call, which is now coming in, I'll do my commercial in just a minute. Go ahead, caller, please. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, I want to know how that guy or girl gets that long neck and the hooves and the fur all over to be a giraffe.
Jerry, the idiocy, and that's what it is, of genderism in this country, and you can't use certain pronouns now, and we're accepting all this filth and sleaze, and it's being indoctrinated into our education system. I don't know about you. Yes, I do know about you, Jerry Voss. You absolutely hate it as much as I do.
Well, I think it's just plumb ridiculous. I can just see some girl deciding she's going to be a chicken and developing a cone and a lot of feathers and a beak.
Well, this whole thing has got so much out of hand to the point where it's being pushed at various schools and various celebrations and various honors, and I think it's absolutely got to stop, and common sense has got to start to prevail itself again in our society. Jerry, this is sick.
Well, I agree with you, and you made a comment this morning real early about the news. The news has always been the same, clear from Bible times to today. It's just the names and the places change. People do the same stuff over and over and over and over and over again. We never seem to learn.
I think you've summed up basically what the Bible says in many, many instances, that there is nothing new. It's all happened before and will continue in a cycle of happening again, and I think you're 100% right.
Well, King Solomon taught that.
That's right.
It's just kind of ridiculous to me how we think we're so great and so wonderful, and yet we still seem to recycle the same garbage.
Very well put, my dear friend. God bless you for your call, Jerry. Thank you.
You bet. You have a wonderful day, and may the Lord bless you and every one of them little ears out there listening.
All right.
What we're talking about today.
Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it. I want to wrap up by telling everybody about our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with a big fall tires sale right now. Oh, all the tires, all the sizes, all the tread designs for you and all the vehicles. All you need to do is stop in and see them today. And don't forget, too, along with all the tires for the big fall tire sale, the best of brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. If you're going up on the mountain hunting, you don't want to go up there with a battery that's kind of iffy. You get up there and click. Nothing. Go into your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Check them out today. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Tomorrow on the program, let's take a look-see and see what's cooking. We've got Dan Kish with our energy segment. We've got, let me see, Lance Dorrell from Missouri is going to be back on talking about that book about Custer's Last Stand. And then we've got economics expert Phil Kerpen coming on. So we've got lots and lots of good people coming on the program tomorrow for Zeb at the Ranch, where we always end the show by saying the way things were, the way things ought to be, but the 4 big words that we really live by, in God we trust. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06.